Welcome to PCMC. I'm Mike Bongiorno. I'm joined today by Anthony Bongiorno.
Hello, everyone. I've returned.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Great.
The spring allergies have gotten to me.
I know it's rough out there.
But it's spring.
That's right. Spring has sprung, and we might get rid of daylight savings, which is long overdue.
Yes, I agree. Although I was reading that if we do that, I think we're not getting rid of it. We would be making daylight savings permanent.
Yeah.
So we would go away from standard time.
Yeah.
I was reading that in some parts of the country, then the sun may not rise till after 9 a.m.
Yeah, fuck them. Who cares? How about that?
In the morning. But you know what? If it doesn't affect me, I don't care.
Yeah. And that's the motto of all Americans.
Exactly.
Speaking of having a bad attitude, today's episode is about New York City as represented in the media and our favorite New Yorkses in the media.
Not just on the silver screen, but
not just on the silver screen.
all media.
All media. Although I only have movies and TV.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about books on the screen. Let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it's all open to me, but I for this list, I couldn't think of any New Yorks in games. I mean, if I just to throw an honorable mention out there, just before we even get to our list, maybe the New York in the PS4 Spider-Man game is a pretty sweet New York.
How about the New York in the Ninja Turtles NES game?
Not a big one for me. These are our favorites. They're not the best.
They're not the best, and I think I was struggling with. These aren't necessarily all New Yorks you'd want to live in either.
Right.
They're just New Yorks that you find fun or interesting.
Yeah, because some of my New Yorks are horrifying.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, I actually had a harder time with this list than I thought I was going to, because as I sort of began thinking about it, I got super deep about it, and I was like, what does this mean? Does this mean... When I say New York, does it have to be literal? Does the film or the TV show have to have actual images of New York City? Almost on my list was My Dinner with Andre, which famously, that's a movie that's all just a conversation in a restaurant. But it begins with Wallace Shawn walking around New York City, and it ends after this big heady conversation of him in a taxi cab looking at all the city, and he's like, every building brings back a memory. And it's just it immediately jumped to my mind as very romanticizing New York, but it's also there's not a lot of New York in an average episode of Friends has more images of New York in it than My Dinner with Andre.
I thought of Friends, and here's why. Not that I would put it on the list, but just to connect to that point you just made. I would argue though that I think that My Dinner with Andre is New York-y. I think things can be New York-y without being necessarily even filmed in New York.
They're two theater guys eating in a restaurant.
Yeah. Friends is an interesting one. Friends and I almost put Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Because I'm always intrigued by Manhattan, and Seinfeld is Manhattan as a small town where everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something interesting about that. But again, that wasn't even filmed in New York.
Right. So the question becomes, do we mean New York narrative? Do we mean New York vibe? Can Superman count when it's not even really New York? It's Metropolis?
And the answer is we don't know.
The answer is this is a fucking free podcast.
Yeah.
And we put together a list.
Stop whining.
And just shut up and just enjoy it. And like I said with every list we do, this is what I thought about this week. Tomorrow I might go, oh, I forgot about fucking Mork and Mindy or whatever. I think this place
Mork and Mindy.
I think that's San Francisco. But, I might think, oh, I forgot something obvious. And then guess what? It's too late.
How can I forget about Newsies? I think tomorrow morning I'll be on the can and I'll think of something great and I'll be like, oh, I should have said that.
Yeah, exactly. So these are our favorite, and so we both have 5.
I actually have 6.
Yeah.
Because I have one that I just thought of like an hour ago and I was like, oh, I gotta put that on the list, but I didn't want to sacrifice anything.
Well, I have 5 and 2 honorable mentions.
I have 2 honorable mentions as well.
Okay, and I don't know, I'll just sort of feel my way through it. Mine, let me see, I have 4 films, 1 television show. The latest I go is 1999.
Okay.
The earliest I go is 1955. Okay.
I don't have a lot of older stuff, and I don't have anything older than the 60s. And I kept thinking about like the Gilded Age and Vanity Fair and all that like old New York stuff. And I was like, to me, that's just a different thing. That's a different vibe than what I'm thinking about right now.
Right. And how do the outer boroughs make any appearance, or is it just New York City?
Do they
Manhattan?
make any appearance in mine?
Yeah. Because for me, honestly,
no, not really.
Even as somebody who lived his whole life in the outer boroughs, when I think New York in film, I don't think about Brooklyn or Staten Island or.
Did you do any research for this?
In what sense?
Like, did you look up any, like, I looked up like a few lists of like best films set in New York.
No, but I did go back and look at things just because that was another weird thing about this, which was I had a bunch of stuff on my list that I went back and looked at, and I was like, what was I thinking? This isn't. It was weird, like kind of like it
was not New York.
No, it was New York, but where in my head was I getting it?
Okay,
if that makes any sense. It doesn't happen.
Like what?
It doesn't happen often. Like one thing that I immediately thought of was the 1984 independent film Born in Flames, which takes place in the future, and so it's kind of sci-fi but not. And it's very New York. It's got a real documentary style. But then when I watched it, I was like, well, this isn't... It didn't feel like it fit our criteria.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually thinking, like, do documentaries count?
I have a documentary on my honorable mentions.
Is it the Annie Leibovitz one?
No. But I feel like it shouldn't count because it's interesting to me as an outsider, but probably inside of it, it wasn't awesome for everybody, and it felt creepy to be like, isn't this a great New York? And it's like, well, people are dying, you know.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
You mean Fran Lebowitz?
What did I say?
Ann Lebowitz, the photographer.
No, Fran Lebowitz.
That's
what I meant. The New York. Although I think Annie Leibovitz lives in New York too, doesn't she?
I'm sure she does.
Who doesn't?
I mean, all the real people do.
I'm interested in what your TV show is. Do you want to start with that? Because I don't have any TV. I have one TV show. I have 2 TV shows that are honorable mentions, but none in my actual list.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start. From 1955, The Honeymooners.
Oh, that's Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, it is Brooklyn. So I do have. But as a bus driver, I think you see him sometimes in Manhattan working.
Yeah.
But they live in an apartment building in Brooklyn. Yeah. And that's a perfect example of like what I have a lot on my list, which is it's bittersweet. They make in that show an apartment building feel like a small town because everybody knows each other. He calls his neighbor through the window.
Yeah,
they're good friends. They're friends with everybody in the building. And then every once in a while they'd show outside. They'd show their stoop sometimes, and they would show sometimes the bus depot. And they both had very New York jobs. One was worked in the sewer, and one was a New York bus driver. And if you look at just that apartment, you've got like the fire escape, and you've got like the little window, and it's tiny, and it's kind of like looks like shit because they're basically poor. And it's kind of like, yeah, they're poor, but they're enjoying life as much as they can. New York City.
Yeah. So I didn't even think of it until you just said that. But like, what about I Love Lucy? They also live in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I Love Lucy.
Right. But I feel like that's a very different New York from The Honeymooners New York.
Well, that's the thing I was thinking of is I think what's interesting about New York on film, I guess you could probably argue that it's any city on film, but really maybe because we're biased, I think it's a New York-y thing, is that New York is just such a shapeshifter that depending on what the plot is, who the characters are, like what the work is, like New York can serve so many different types of stories so well.
Right. New York can be grimy and low down. New York can be austere and classy. New York can be nefarious and scary. New York could be fun and
romantic.
It could be so many different things.
Right.
And this is the only black and white New York on my list, but I feel like it's a perfect black and white. Like you go to like a pizza parlor and you'll see like a honeymooners picture on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Like it's New York. It's the honeymooners.
Were any scenes of the honeymooners shot outside of a stage?
No.
Okay.
At that point, no.
So
but I do believe it was in New York.
Yeah,
they actually filmed in New York.
That's New York as a vibe.
Right. Well, let me think about that.
Or part of the fabric of just the setting is just such an integral part of it.
I'd say 2 out of 5 of my list are mostly sets. This is mostly sets, and then another one is mostly sets. But of course, there's always dressing. You know, there's always a production designer and a set designer who will come and dress it and make it look a certain way.
Right. You know what I was thinking of? I guess well, I'll get there later. Never mind. Should I go now?
Sure.
I have a point to make, but I'll make it later when it's more appropriate. I'm gonna go with, to start. This is a New York that I don't necessarily want to live in, but the New York of Rosemary's Baby.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I love that in that it really plays up like the gothic side of New York, and you know, just like the characters, the strange characters who are your neighbors in New York, and then exploring the idea that like those colorful characters in New York are nefarious devil worshippers behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
And there's just that is shot in New York, and there's a lot of great like New York shots in it. I love the Dakota Building. Yeah, it's so cliche and trite to say at this point, but it is like a character in the movie. It's
where John Lennon lived and where he was killed outside of.
And it's just, I don't know, it's a super eerie kind of New York.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking of the scene where she like walks into oncoming traffic on Fifth Avenue, and I don't know, it's just I love it. I love it.
Or she's in like the phone booth talking to her doctor, and he's like, you
on
just
like
hear
the
his voice.
hot summer day.
Yeah.
You could feel like that New York heat of August.
Well, it's this thing of like nobody, like there's no continuity for people being there. Everyone just goes there. Like they're. He's an actor and what is she?
She's a housewife.
She's a housewife. But then like their neighbors are like old, you know, like, you know, it's Ruth,
like
it's Ruth Gordon.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know,
like older world traveler types.
Yeah. And like
setters.
the kind of New York where people have friends that are doctors.
Yeah. And I think that I love anything in New York that takes place over a year.
Yeah.
Because New York does have like 4 distinct seasons.
Sure,
unlike a lot of other cities. That's in there. So there's like scenes of her walking in the snow. Then there's that scene of her in the phone booth where it's like July and it's like super duper oppressively hot. And just I think that's part of the charm of New York in real life and in films is that like if you like throughout the year you get such different weather.
Yeah.
And it totally like changes the look.
Yeah, right. There's all these different sort of versions of New York.
Yeah,
we were talking about how it's spring. Like there's always that moment. I don't know if I guess everywhere, but there's always that moment for us in New York where it's like it's spring and it's like it's a spring in New York. It's
always like you sort of just notice it. Like, oh, it's spring. It became spring.
I feel like there's like 2 to 3 times a year where like I actually think, oh, it's nice to be in New York.
Life's worth living.
Yeah, like oh, I'm glad I'm here instead of somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's usually on a warm day or like the first snow.
Yeah. No, the first snow I'm ready to.
Really?
But when it's a first nice day where it's grass and.
What's funny is in New York, like the first nice day is like 51 degrees, and you see people like shirtless playing fetch with dogs that aren't even theirs. It's like it's spring.
We're having fun. So that film falls into the like early Roman Polanski trilogy of Repulsion.
Ooh, I didn't
Tenant,
even think about
and. Rosemary's Baby, which are all about living in apartments and the sort of to Roman Polanski, the sort of unspoken uncanniness of living in apartments, like that it's weird to live in an apartment.
Right, it's like that whole body horror thing of like we're all living on top of each other in this city, literally.
Yeah, there's that scene in I think The Apartment or Repulsion where like there's like a tooth in the window.
Oh yeah.
And then they homage that in The Nightmare on Elm Street. Before Tina dies, she like there's the window cracks and there's like a tooth in it.
Oh, I always forget about that.
Yeah, that first one's good. Yeah, so yeah, that's a perfect example of like compare that to The Honeymooners. The Honeymooners is like, oh, living in an apartment's so warm. It's like a little town. Everybody knows everybody. And then fucking Rosemary's Baby's like, you may be living next to devil worshippers.
You may be living next to literal Satan.
And they will convince your husband to sell you to the devil. And everyone is gaslighting you. All of the time.
So good.
Okay. So my next one is from 1990. It's a little film called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, the first TMNT, as we call it.
As we call it.
Is anybody who's a fan of Ninja Turtles knows that the first Ninja Turtles movie is the best Ninja Turtles movie because it's way better than it needed to be. It could have just been anything and kids would have saw it, would have made a ton of money. But what they did was they took the caricatures or the character types from the cartoon. They all have different characters, they all have different colors, but they took the setting from the comic. Like it's a lot like it's like a good combination of the comic and the cartoon. And the comic was black and white and stark, and the Ninja Turtles didn't even speak that much, and they didn't have distinct personalities. They didn't have distinct colors. It's hard to tell them apart other than their weapons. And it was satirically violent. It was crazy violent. The original Ninja Turtles is hard to describe in comparison to everything that's coming after, because the original Ninja Turtles is absolutely a tongue-in-cheek satire. It's like, isn't this... It's almost like making fun of comics. It's like, isn't this stupid? Like, these are... they worked backwards from the name. They were like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Isn't that stupid? How about we make them really violent and they're like in a dirty city? And, you know, it's like... And you see that in the movie. In the movie, it almost looks black and white. Like, in the very beginning, like, Domino's comes to give them a pizza. He orders it from the sewer, and like he puts the money up from the grate, and the guy puts the pizza down, and like every extra in the movie is like, hey, oh, what are you doing? And like there's newspaper everywhere and garbage cans,
smoke
and
in the streets.
Yeah, it's like really gross looking New York. Everything is wet. It's like very dirty, back alley, sewery. The New York in Ninja Turtles is really gothic in a way.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about the movies. It combined the comic and the original cartoon.
Yeah, it's like that like wet black top.
Right.
I just watched Ghost for believe it or not, the first time ever.
Wow.
last week.
Wow.
Just one of those movies that I feel like everybody's seen but me, and I finally watched it. And I was like, oh, this is really
good.
Yeah. But in that, it's like they've got that gritty New York thing.
You in trouble, girl.
Oh my god, it's so good. You in danger, girl.
Yeah. Well, you've got ghosts on the subway in that. I mean, how could you go wrong?
Yeah,
it's
so
fantastic.
Good. Now, so I'm confused. I always thought that it was comic movie then cartoon. The cartoon came before the movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
The cartoon wasn't out that long. It was maybe like a year or two, and they thought that the movie, when the movie was turned in, the people, the toy people were like, this is horrible. Like, this is way too dark. Kids, this is gonna scare kids. This is gonna ruin it. And then like it was a huge hit, and the toy just sold even more.
Aren't the sequels lighter?
The sequels are way lighter.
Oh, I've seen the second one. What am I talking about?
Yeah, the second one's more Vanilla Ice. It's way lighter.
We saw How Did This Get Made do it.
Yeah. And the third one is they go back in time to feudal Japan.
I remember seeing that in the movie theater with you and like a bunch of kids at a birthday party.
Yeah. The original trilogy gets worse and worse. And then there's an animated film that I really like. And then there's the Michael Bay movies, which are good for what they are. The best part of the animated movies... No, sorry. The best part of the Michael Bay movies is Whoopi Goldberg completely improvising a character. Because she called... This is what I love about Whoopi Goldberg. She called up Michael Bay and was like, hey, I love Ninja Turtles. Put me in that movie. And he was like, sure, Whoopi Goldberg, whatever you want. So she plays April O'Neil's editor. And just go back... Just watch that one scene. Like, she's just in a different movie writing her own lines. It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Yeah. What I always found funny about that was when like guys my age were like, "Oh, this is ruining Ninja Turtles," and it's like, how can you ruin the dumbest idea ever?
I know.
Like just enjoy it. It's just fucking the stupidest shit ever.
I know.
But yeah, Ninja Turtles from 1990. Believe it or not, if you've never seen it, go and just pay attention to the New York in it. It's super grimy, scary. People, old ladies getting mugged by punks in the park.
Always.
And
it's always like, somebody help me, they took my bag.
like, thank God there's a fucking Casey Jones there to beat the shit out of somebody with a hockey fucking stick.
All right, so mine is, I'm just going to go with the one that I think is probably on your list too.
Sure.
Ghostbusters.
Believe it or not, it's not on my list.
Really?
And I think that's a quintessential New York movie.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the New York of Ghostbusters is just as easily seen in a lot of other things.
Well, here's what I think is interesting about Ghostbusters. And this is from, actually, it's something that I just never thought of. And then a student did a project on Ghostbusters and like did a critical reading of it that I had never like thought of before. And I was like, oh, that's really, really interesting. And it was like it's one of those things where like you, the teacher, assign an assignment, and then the student like goes above and beyond and smarts like what you ever imagined. So they had to pick a piece of media and do like a cultural context kind of analysis of it. And the student did Ghostbusters, and basically he like read Ghostbusters as sort of like allegorical for like the fear of growing crime in New York City in the 80s.
Interesting.
And I think if you go back and read it that way, it's there. Like, sort of like, oh, the city's getting out of control. The city's spiraling, like all the anxiety of New York in the 80s. But it's just in the movie, it's manifested as ghosts are taking over the city.
Right. And you could look at the EPA as like, they're not tough enough on crime.
Exactly. Right. And then it's like, all these heroes come along to save our city for us.
Wow.
Which is like, you could also read that as like kind of racist.
Well, most people tend to read it these days as being very like a Reagan era conservative. Like the environmental protection guy is the villain.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in ghosts, you're a fucking idiot. But yeah, that is really. Also, they go into and also regulation. Regulation's bad.
Yeah. Like
they should be allowed to do whatever they want. They're business people. How dare you regulate business? Yeah. But that is an interesting one I haven't thought of, and that's really interesting.
I feel like there's an undergraduate paper in there somewhere. Well, it was already been done.
You can apply that also to like a lot of things from that time, like even Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like going back to like the mugger in the park, like New York is getting worse and worse and worse, which was sort of true, but also a moral panic,
and it was exaggerated by the media.
Yeah, this like New York is this.
We're living through it again right now.
Yeah, exactly.
People like New York's burning down.
Oh my God, people are punching each other in the subways.
Right. It's like actually, crime has certainly gone up, but like also it's still like way down.
Yeah, in general, it goes down and down and down. And down.
Right.
And also, I think when people talk about that shit, it's
a dog whistle.
Right, and of course, it's always racist. But they also talk about like a time where we didn't lock our doors, and it's like that time never existed. Like literally, if you didn't lock your doors 30 years ago, you're dumb because you had more of a chance of being murdered 30 years ago than you do now.
Exactly.
So right. It's a lot of it's just a moral panic.
And it's like that quality of life crime thing from the 90s where it was just like, I don't want to walk down the street and smell weed. It makes me feel unsafe.
Well, like then New York is not for you these days because now that it's legal, it's on every goddamn street
But
corner.
That's the thing. Like there are people who are in a panic saying like, oh, like I smell weed for 2 seconds when I walk down the block. That means that I'm in danger.
I saw a man selling pre-rolled blunts outside of the Disney store on a Sunday afternoon.
Beautiful.
In Times Square recently.
And I feel like an old school New Yorker is like, finally the city's got its guts back.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll get into this in my next episode, but I've been reading this critic called he's a little tease. I've been reading this critic called Mr. Sleazoid, he was like a drug addict porn star critic, and he in the 80s, late 70s, 80s, and early 90s, he wrote about 42nd Street and 42nd Street grindhouse movies, and like to hear about 42nd Street and Times Square from his eyes, it's like, oh, what was great is the drug addicts and the sex workers. It's like, so yeah, it's like, oh yeah, good, you're selling drugs outside the Disney store. Let's get rid of that Disney store.
It's so crazy. It's not like I think people who don't live in New York like maybe don't fully get like just how insanely different the Times Square area is than it used to be.
I mean, it's really just like Disney World now.
Right. And it like literally, I remember like, I mean, I talked to, our parents have said this, but even like professors I've had, like I went to Hunter, which is like in New York, and a lot of the professors are really New Yorky. And like one of them was just like, oh my God, like I almost died in Times Square like 3 times when I was a kid.
Yeah,
like, it was just like the most dangerous place on earth.
Yeah.
And now it's just so sanitized. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyway,
The point that I was going to make before is, speaking of New York vibes, I wanted to save it till we talked about Ghostbusters, because I think that the 2016 Ghostbusters, one of the things that sucks about it is you can feel that it's not New York.
You can feel that it's supposed to be, but it's shot in Chicago.
Exactly. And
Toronto.
I think I don't know which one it was, or maybe it was both, but I think that that's to its detriment. And that speaks to the point of like New York does have a vibe, even when it's like, you can feel when it's fake.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it could be because we are New Yorkers, but I feel like you show me a skyline and say that's New York, I fucking know it's not New York.
Right, and it makes me mad.
Yeah. But, you know, I'd also say the lack of New Yorkiness is a big missing element in Afterlife.
I was just going to say...
Making it this rural thing with, you know, cornfields and stuff is totally changes the whole vibe of it.
I mean, I liked that movie, but I thought it wasn't a weird choice to have this Legacy sequel be so not New York when the first one is so quintessentially New York
That's
City.
the biggest departure it takes, really.
And a lot of it is like reliant on the fact that it's like this sleepy small town.
Yeah.
Like it's not just the setting to be the setting. Like it's a big part of it.
Yeah, it's a weird choice.
It's kind of like I think it's honestly like, now that like we have the rose-colored glasses off a little bit and a little bit of time has passed, like there's a lot of like Stranger Things stealing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just like pastiche that was borrowed.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I hope it kicks off more films that go in different directions.
All right, so what's your next one?
Wait, let's recap. Because I did Honeymoons and Ninja Turtles. You did Ghostbusters and
Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby. I guess I'll do. I don't want to do 2 dark ones in a row, so I'll do a dark one now and then a light one, then a dark one. All right, from 1976, Taxi Driver. This is again a quintessential New York movie, and this is a really scary, horrible New York. I mean, he is a taxi driver mostly in Hell's Kitchen. He's a taxi driver that mostly is working the night shift. I mean, just like it's, you know, there's just the Bernard Herrmann like jazzy but also menacing score as he's like driving through smokestacks, and like there are child prostitutes everywhere and pimps in every doorway. And you know, I was thinking about this week. There was always lights in New York, but now we have these LED lights that really light things up and make things feel safe. Whereas there used to be like just neon lights, which didn't really illuminate things. It presented like, hey, we're open, but it didn't make you feel any safer.
And you'd get that like color, that glaze, like if you stood by the light, you would appear to be like whatever color that light was.
There's that incredible scene outside of, is it Cat's Deli? Where it's De Niro.
Well, they have dinner there, right? At
yeah, it's De Niro and Peter Boyle, and it's it's really like a theater of the absurd scene because literally nothing is said. Peter Boyle's giving him advice, but he's just giving him random, pointless, unprecise advice about you know, whatever, go out, but they're like both bathed in this red light, and it's just so, you know, that movie gives you a headache. That movie like makes you feel the sort of malaise that Travis Bickle feels. And you know, he talks on the voiceover like, the city's a sewer. I can't wait for rain to come and wash it all away.
Yeah,
every night I clean up the cum and the blood from the back seat.
Yeah, it's so gross. It's like it's like this presentation of New York is like literal hell on earth.
It really is literal hell on earth.
And I think that's because that's how he sees it, and he like fancies himself the hero that's gonna the vigilante hero that emerges at the end.
The only thing that counters it is like the scenes during the day in the candidate's office with Albert Brooks, but even then it's like you get a feeling like that. There's that scene where the candidate gets into Travis's taxi and you can tell he's just placating him. Yeah. So even that's sinister. it's a perfect movie to watch in the middle of the night. It's
so depressing.
It's a very depressing movie. You could tell everyone making it was depressed.
Oh yeah. It's super melancholy.
Yeah.
You just made me think of Taxi Cab Confessions on HBO.
That's a great New York as well.
It is.
No, it is. I mean, yeah.
God, that show.
Yeah. Yeah, Taxi Driver. There's so much. I watched it recently, and I was, he's so disaffected. I thought this so fits now. Like he would be like, the only difference is now you'd see him constantly on like message boards,
Reddit.
Yeah, like with other people talking nonsense.
Oh yeah, he's a total incel.
And the only other thing is, there's a scene where he goes to like a hotel room to buy like black market guns, and now he would just go to Sears or whatever. Like he would,
Yeah.
like now it would be much easier for him to get the guns.
Yeah.
But it's so
Wow, if they were that just made me think like if they were to remake Taxi Driver.
I mean, the Joker tries to do it.
Fuck that movie.
And what would be scary is if they remade Taxi Driver is the wrong kind of people would be like, wow, Travis Bickle's a hero.
Yeah. Well,
like, even if it came out now, the same exact film. Like, I hope people don't find it now, because it's just like the wrong kind of people are going to start watching this and like worshiping it, like people like were doing for like Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah. But even like the "You Talking to Me" thing, like that's a very sad moment.
That's a crazy
where a lunatic is talking to himself in a mirror, and people like De Niro's the man.
Yeah, he's imagining a scenario where he gets to kill somebody.
Yeah, it's
just
crazy.
like me. Yeah, it's a grimy one, but you can't not put it on there.
No. All right,
Can I ask you a science question?
Sure. Why not?
Does steam come out of the fucking sewer? Like, why?
Have you seen it in real life?
Yes, I've seen it. You've seen it, haven't you?
Yeah, of course, but it's totally exaggerated in movies.
Oh, and in movies, it's just like it's so like romantic and like. But no, you do see it. Is it just hot down there?
I don't know if it's steam or if it's just like the way like you see your breath when it's cold out and the air is slightly warmer or like humidified, so it presents that way.
Right.
Yeah,
it's super moody.
It is super moody. All right, so I'll go with a fun one now to counter that. So my next one is Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
That's on my honorable mentions.
Okay.
The only reason it's on my honorable mentions is I said it recently in the rom-com episode. I didn't want to say it again. I don't want people to think I have this weird obsession with this.
Well, I'm gonna mention something
sleeper
else.
hit.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention something that I mentioned last time too. But yeah, I just think it's super. I love anything that's about like staying out all night. Because that's like one of the funnest things of being in high school and college is when you have the energy to stay out all night.
Yeah.
And staying out all night in New York is the best. And it just, watching that movie makes you like nostalgic. And nostalgia is just so abused these days. But it does make you feel like, oh, like remember those days in high school and college when like we did stay out all night and do fun,
it's nostalgia for your own life, not for like some pop culture.
Right. Not
stuff.
for like Ninja Turtles underwear or something stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And compare that to Taxi Driver. They're both about being out all night, and one is about hell, and the other is about like, ooh, it's so fun to be young.
Yeah.
And
you never know what's gonna come. What's right around the corner.
New York's a great place to fall in love with a random beautiful person, and it's so romantic.
Yeah,
we can run down the streets hand in hand.
It's so fun. Starring Mike. I know last time I said John Cena instead of Michael Cera. But Michael Cera's great in it. Kat Dennings is great in it.
John Cena and Kat Dennings.
And it's super New Yorky. They go to Grace Papaya.
Yeah.
They go to all these fun spots. Veselka.
Yeah.
I love the running gag that his car is yellow and people keep getting into it thinking it's a taxi.
Right.
It's a romp.
Yeah, there's a lot of like clubs in it and like music venues and that, and
it ends at dawn, which is always fun.
Yeah. Now, you didn't like the book.
No, I didn't.
I like the book. It's very different, but I liked the book.
I thought it was just like middling. I thought the movie was better.
Which means the book is part of a trilogy of not just those characters, but like
other lists.
Yeah, like
the no kiss list and stuff.
Yeah, Dash and Lily's. I forgot. I read them all, but I forget them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny? That's one of those movies where I get a distinct like ping, and I feel like I see, because they love this band.
Bunny. Where's Fluffy?
Where's Fluffy? So like when I think of that movie, I immediately think of that like neon pink bunny that they see on places.
Yeah.
So I think pink when I see that movie, whereas with Taxi Driver I think blood red.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I saw it and I don't know. It's also one of those movies I feel like I just saw it at the right time.
Sure, yeah.
And it's just it's always gonna be a
super
fave.
millennial. It's super twee.
Oh yeah,
it's super. It's
kids today would hate it. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's got Vampire Weekend on the fucking soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's
great stuff.
Yeah, it's got Andy Samberg in it.
And what's interesting is it's all
Lazy Sunday could be on this list. It's not, but you can
sure.
That's because they talk about going to Serendipity. No, they don't go. Where do they go?
Don't they go to the movies in Union Square?
Yeah, but where do they go to get cupcakes?
Oh, the one from Sex and the City?
Fucking Jen loves it.
Magnolia.
Too. Magnolia.
Macking on some cupcakes from Magnolia. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your next one?
Okay, from 1968, The Odd Couple.
Oh, okay. I have Neil Simon's New York as a category, which is cheating. But I was thinking The Odd Couple, Barefoot in the Park, The Out of Towners, all of them.
Sure. They're all the same New York.
Yes, exactly.
So, but I specifically picked The Odd Couple from 1968. I rewatched a lot of it today. It begins with these beautiful shots of Times Square, and then you see these and of all the hustling and bustling. But again, it's like I said, like it's lit up, but it's not lit up like it is now. It doesn't totally feel safe, but
it's
it doesn't feel
seedy.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel well. It gets seedy because trigger warning. That movie begins with him like trying to kill himself.
Yeah.
So like you see then like
hilariously.
Yeah, you see like shots of different like sleazy motels, and then he goes to a sleazy motel and there's like guys hanging out, and he's like $5 please, and then he gives him he's like here's the third floor, and he's like, do you have anything higher? Because he wants to jump out the window, and then he goes in, and then you see like so New York, you see like the fucking the what do you call it, the maid with like the cart, and she's like lighting a cigarette, and she's like good night, and he says goodbye.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what the fuck is this guy? Then he goes in and it's gross and seedy, and then he tries to open the window to jump, but then he hurts his back. And then he goes to a go-go club, which is like which is not like a strip club. Like they have on like bikinis, but they're like dancing, and it's just then it's like all late at night. It's like 10 o'clock at night. But then because Felix is so depressed, like after the poker game at like midnight, they go to a diner where Oscar sexually assaults somebody. He grabs the waitress's butt.
Yeah.
And then they get an ice cream cone and walk through Central Park.
I love it.
And it was
just the right time where like New York was kind of seedy, but not like really dangerous yet to be walking at night in Central Park.
Right. You can make dangerous and also problematic jokes like, Mary, lend me $20 or I'm going to call your wife and tell her you're in Central Park in a dress. Like, oh, that's very disrespectful and transphobic. But it also wasn't that scary.
Right.
And also, like, Oscar's apartment is beautiful. Who could live in such a way?
I know. Well, that's the thing about all those Neil Simon movies is like all the apartments are just like these gigantic, beautiful apartments in New York that like just do not exist anymore for anyone other than the super duper wealthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love, and just the begin just so that's so New York too. Yeah,
the first movie is so good. There's a lot of people who have a lot of affection for the show.
I know, and I don't get it.
I don't have it, but I guess I get it. I could see why if you grew up on it. I mean, it's as good as any other sitcom. Maybe it's a little better than other sitcoms, but it's not Neil Simon written. Like it doesn't have the rat-tat-tat-tat of real Simon. Like the first act of the whole poker game is like pitch perfect. Every line, everything is just like deal the cards, Murray. Like, Murray, you want to slide down, sweetheart?
What time are you coming home? I don't know about 12:30.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, he answers the phone. He's like, hey, darling, I told you not to call me during. All right, anyway, Murray, it's your wife. Like, it's all just fucking, it's all perfect. They're all sweating and smoking cigars, and it's gross.
It's so good.
They're men, but still wearing ties, even though they're like relaxing.
And then he's a sports journalist. Like he works at like covering Yankee Stadium, games and stuff. It is like quintessential New York.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, but Neil Simon's New York. Talk about that.
Well, just like
I've never seen Barefoot in the Park.
It's like it's about like a young couple getting married and like they move into this apartment in New York and hilarity ensues.
Sure.
But like even like Plaza Suite, like I mean it's Neil Simon's New York. It's always in New York
Everybody's
City.
smart and funny for sure.
Yeah. And then like the Out of Towners is a little bit different because that's Jack Lemmon and Sandy Dennis, and they play like a couple from Ohio that's coming to New York.
Right.
And they just have like a horrible night.
New York kind of eats them alive.
Yeah. It's just super funny.
It sort of creates its own genre that then like the vacation movies did, which is like the everything's gonna go wrong genre, and like you're gonna and
and it's like you just know that these two are like lambs to the slaughter from the beginning when they're like, oh, this is gonna be great, and it's like they're going there because he has a job interview and. If he gets a job, they're going to move to New York, and they're talking about how glamorous it's going to be to live in New York. And even this is line that unfortunately is like now did not hold up, where he says like, oh, those schools are so good here, even the public schools are even better than the private schools, which used to be true of New York.
Well, I love old movies where they're like, this rent's so high, it's $2.50 a month.
In Barefoot in the Park, Jane Fonda is like, oh, please don't tell my mother that we're paying $60 a month for this apartment. It's like, I will fucking kill you.
I'd literally murder somebody.
It's
to pay
$60 a month for this gigantic penthouse apartment.
Like now, for $60, you might be able to buy a box that a refrigerator came in
for sure,
and sleep in it.
You know what I like about Neil Simon movies is that first of all, they're just we should say he's a playwright. Really, these were all plays first, except for Out of Towners was written for the screen,
right?
But the rest were plays. He's almost like, if you want an unproblematic Woody Allen type, go with Neil Simon, because it's kind of like the same sort of thing.
Yeah. Notice there's no Woody Allen on our list.
No.
Not just because
it's also cliche.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not just because of his fucking being a creep. It's because, like...
What are we going to talk about? Manhattan? Like,
yeah, he's...
Come on.
Yeah. I actually feel like his New York is a very specific New York that I don't have any entry into.
Right. It's just super elite.
Yeah, if you were elite in the 70s, which I was not.
Right.
Like, I've been to every museum, but I also,
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we both went then, because we did Neil Simon.
So what do you have left?
I have 2 left. I have...
Okay, so do one, and then I have one.
All right, I have one that may interest you. And this is the one that I just thought of like an hour ago. Cloverfield.
Okay. That's good.
And it wasn't what I was like thinking.
Sure.
But then I thought of Cloverfield, and I thought of, like, first of all, how well done that movie is.
Sure.
How anxiety provoking that movie is, anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
And just like the fact that like they're stuck on the island of Manhattan, and Manhattan starts to feel incredibly claustrophobic when they're under attack by this giant thing.
Yeah.
And like that awesome shot of like the Statue of Liberty's head in the street. And just like there are lots of like disaster movies that take place in New York, but Cloverfield just does it so well.
Yeah.
And I just love the idea of like New York City is quarantined and cut off from the rest of the world,
and they bomb it at the end.
Yes, it ends with New York City being completely destroyed by the U.S. government.
And they kind of through their little like journey, like they hit everything, like they
Coney Island.
The Central Park, I think, is in the end.
Yeah,
they are in the sewers at some point.
At one point, they're watching. They're in, what's it called, on the west side, Columbus Circle. They're in Columbus Circle, and they're watching like those apartment buildings in Columbus Circle crumble.
Yeah.
It's super. It's also super feels really real. So when you're watching it, especially as a New Yorker, you're like, "Oh, this feels like New York is like really being destroyed right now."
Right. Well, it was 2006 or 2007.
Not too long after September 11th.
Right, and it definitely had September 11 vibes to it.
Yeah. And the fact that at the end it's like, okay, New York is being destroyed is like,
and it starts at a party, a nice party, and like, and the sort of group that we follow don't necessarily all know each other. They were just at the same party,
right? And so it's kind of got that Breakfast Clubby thing going for it too.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's
people don't talk about it enough.
No, you're right. It's well regarded, and that director I think just did The Batman.
Okay.
So that director still works.
I feel like the Cloverfield sequels get more attention than the original Cloverfield does now.
I do think the second one is better.
Is that the one with John Goodman?
Yeah. Have you seen that?
No, I've never seen any of
No,
them.
that's really
How many are there?
incredible.
3 or 4?
There's 3, but I've not, and I'll say no one has seen the third one.
Really?
The third one just got snuck onto Netflix at some point.
Okay.
Didn't have a release.
What's it called?
And oh God, I don't even think it was meant to originally be Cloverfield. They just threw Cloverfield on it.
Well, does the second one have any connection to the first one?
There are fan connections. I think it was like supposed to be like the Twilight Zone or something. Like Cloverfield just ended up being like J.J. Abrams' version of like his anthology. Or whatever. Like there's no real direct connection between the first two.
Cloverfield Lane is the second one, right?
Yes.
And isn't like
the third one's like Cloverfield Project or something.
Okay.
It's in space.
Oh, okay. Doesn't sound interesting. The second one, like they're hiding from the monster outside, right?
Yeah, but no, it's not the monster.
It's not the same monster.
No, it's like aliens.
Okay, but the real monster's inside.
Is not always the way.
But yeah, so
now that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm glad I thought of it.
It's interesting. New York is so big, right? So it's always thought of as this big labyrinth.
But it's actually
a giant kaiju monster will make it feel small,
and it's geographically small.
Right. It's just vertically large.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is crazy geographically small, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I've got one more.
Do you want to do your honorable mentions then?
Okay, sure. Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist from 2008. In my another honorable mention is the 1990 documentary Paris is Burning.
Okay.
This is a documentary about the ball scene in New York in the late 80s, early 90s, which was
the ball scene as in testicles.
No. The ball is in like balls, like a gala.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And it's transgendered people, but it's also drag queens.
Okay.
And you actually see a tension between older drag queens who are like don't totally understand the younger transgendered people.
Ooh,
and
okay.
it's it's like where voguing came from. It's just
so Madonna stole it from that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, a lot of even like if you watch it, they're saying things that white people didn't say for 20 years. They're they're talking about reading people and shade and shit, and it's like this doesn't get to white middle class for 20 years after this.
There's so much drag culture appropriation.
And Paris is Burning is the name of one of the biggest clubs, and they would have balls, which were kind of like people would go, they would make their own dresses, or they would get dressed, or they would steal dresses, and they would go and they would walk the runway, and they would be contests, and it would be like a party, but it'd also be like a production, and people would win awards. But like as it went on, it got more and more like fascinating because it became this subculture. And then there were these like houses, like the House of Ninja, which I think that guy became Madonna's. One of them became Madonna's like choreographer.
Okay. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and but it's also like some of them died. There's drug addiction. There's poverty. One of the main characters is actually killed. Like sadly at the end of the movie, you find out that they were a sex worker and they got murdered.
Ooh, that's really sad.
So it's very dark. But it's an incredible look at a subculture. If you've never seen it, it's one of the best documentaries ever. Paris is Burning from 1990. So that's my honorable mention. I couldn't put it on my list because it's a real time that existed.
Yeah.
So
you just made me think of, and I guess I would have thought of this later on. Neither one of us put Rent on here.
Right. Yeah.
I'd put that, not the movie, the musical.
Right. I've never seen the musical.
Oh, really?
No.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie.
I think the movie's good, but it's not as good as the musical.
Yeah, I feel like people say it doesn't count.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jen's a theater kid, so.
Well, my friend Stephanie's a real Rent head, and she saw it like a zillion times, and she doesn't love the movie. She likes the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. She'll text me when she hears this and correct me. Yeah.
So my honorable mentions are, I have the two Take Manhattans, Jason and Muppets.
Very good. Very good.
Especially Muppets.
Okay. Why?
Because it's just super fun that it's the Muppets in New York City. I don't know. It's just like, I love that, like the scene in the diner with the rats. And,
Well, that's where Rizzo comes from.
right.
And it's such a funny idea because there's rats in New York.
Right.
So it's like, this is a restaurant where the waiters are rats.
Yeah, and the cooks and everything. And I have a distinct image in my mind of, I don't know if it's Rizzo or just one of the other rats that looks like Rizzo, like skating on the grill with on little pads of butter.
Sure.
And it's just delightful. And then, just like they want to make it on Broadway.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just, it's like, it's kind of like in the spirit of that 80s like Fame chorus line kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it was like the magic of Broadway.
Yeah.
So that's, and then Jason is just fun. Jason takes Manhattan literally. He's in Manhattan for like 5 minutes.
Right.
But that's another one where like Manhattan is like this hellscape.
Right.
And I love that there's like the guy's like not afraid of Jason.
Yeah.
But then he punches his head off.
Yeah.
It's a great scene.
And then there's a scene in Times Square where like the kids are like the punk kids are like listening to a boombox, and Jason fucking destroys it.
Yeah,
and then he scares them.
He takes off his mask and they run away.
Yeah.
It's like really funny, just the idea of like New Yorkers aren't afraid of him, but
Yeah.
then like when he takes his mask off, they get scared.
Yeah.
And then
That's a ridiculous idea for a movie.
Oh, Jesus. My other honorable mention is 2 series. We did a whole episode on this, so I'm not going to get into it. But I put together Sex and the City and Girls. Because
you put them together.
I put them together. I did. And not because of anything having to do with the characters or the plot lines. In both of those shows, it's always like an eternal spring or summer.
Yeah.
In New York.
It's interesting, yeah.
And it's never really addressed why that is in Sex and the City, but notably both of them only show winter once. Mm-hmm. And Lena Dunham's like had it like thematically tied it in. Yeah, it was like at the end of a season it became winter because it was supposed to show like Hannah growing up. And then she also said like of it always being spring and summer, like the real reason is and probably the real reason for Sex and the City is just like that's when they filmed.
Right.
But in Girls, she said like that's when we filmed, but also like when you think back to your 20s, like you always remember summer.
Right. Spring is the beginning of the year. You're at the beginning of your life.
Yeah. So I threw those 2 in there.
I thought about Girls.
And that's Brooklyn. That's Brooklyn.
Right. But it's a very trendy Brooklyn.
It's Park Slopey, trendy Brooklyn.
There's the one episode in Staten Island, which is one of the only Staten Island representations.
I know, and it's not a good representation.
No, of course. It's the sort of cliche joke.
I mean, are there any good representations? I guess the closest would be like the King of Staten Island, right?
Right. But I don't.
But you don't like him.
So what's your... Is your final dark or light?
No, mine's super light.
All right, so that I'll go because mine's a little bit depressing.
All right.
From 1999, Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, God. That's the New York I want to live in.
No, this is definitely not a New York you want to live in. But this is a New York. First of all, this is a Christmas movie. This is a movie around Christmas. There's Christmas trees and Christmas lights everywhere. Everything's red. It's all done on stages. Like even the street signs are like not real street names. So it's like a dream New York.
Do you know I've never seen the whole thing?
I watched it in preparation for this and I always liked it, but something about this time it clicked and I was like, I fucking loved it. Like I got everything that it was doing this time. I was like, I needed to grow into this movie.
Are you okay?
No, it's super. First of all, I there's also a satire there. Like I remember when it came out, like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were like, "We love working with Stanley," and it's like the point of this movie is how fake things are, and that's why he hired you. He hired the fakest fucking people he could find, and the jokes on you.
How dare you slander
idiots.
Nicole Kidman like that?
Well,
she's outgrown
more
that.
Tom. He
Yeah, because they were like the Hollywood it couple.
Yeah, and it's like he hired you because it's all about fakery and image, and he hired you because that's all you are, moron.
If it were made today, it would be like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, probably.
Yeah,
like something like that.
And it's a movie where class is a big deal. There's a very thin membrane between, grimy alleys and sex work and little dingy apartments and like beautiful Park Avenue apartments where wealthy people are throwing a beautiful Christmas party with their wife, but then they're upstairs doing coke and having sex with a sex worker. Mm-hmm. And then of course the big thing is there's a mansion that you're led to believe are the elite of New York are part of a sex cult.
You know what's so funny is like That's such a conspiracy theory now, though.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yes.
That like politicians and like.
Well, it's very like it's Jeffrey Epstein, you know? Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know if it's that way. I don't think it's real where it's that big or they go in costumes, but I'm sure shit like that happens.
Oh,
man.
sure.
I'm sure.
It's like that weird thing, though, of like everything's exaggerated now. It's like there's this whole thing now of like every rich person, every politician, like everyone's a pedophile. And they're all part of like a crazy child sex ring or something.
But what's funny is so much of that shit that seems new goes back to old anti-Semitism from a million years ago.
Yeah.
Like all the lizard people shit, it's all just anti-Semitism from 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just repackaged in a new way. All this like they eat babies shit. That's like that's old school fucking racism.
Yeah.
But again, I think people talk about it all the time. There's tons of like YouTube fucking analyses of it, and it's like I think people completely misread it. I think it's satirical in the way that Kubrick is satirical, where it's not necessarily funny, but I don't think he thinks this is real. I think for Kubrick, this is like a weird nightmare. It's basically about a married couple that they live this beautiful life, but it becomes clear to them how tenuous their relationship is and their life is, and how it can really just all go in a second. And then he goes on this odyssey in the middle of the night. It's very where he sees like this scary underworld, and it's probably not. It's not for real. Now, I'm not saying it's a dream, but I'm saying like it's a satire.
It's very like Salinger-esque.
Yeah.
Like the Odyssey that he goes on.
Yeah. It's super fake. I mean, there's a scene where he's walking down the street, and I was watching it and I was like, that looks like rear projection. And I went and found it, and it was rear projection. It was just Tom Cruise in a coat walking on a fucking treadmill with a screen behind him with just an image of New York. So it's just like... And I don't think Kubrick did that out of necessity. I think that was a specific choice to make that image look so fake in this uncanny way of like, this doesn't look right.
You know what's so... You just made me think of Vanilla Sky.
Yeah.
And what's weird is I remember like the big deal of Vanilla Sky was like the eeriness of seeing Times Square totally empty.
Yeah.
But now like after COVID, like
you've seen
that.
Yeah.
So it's less eerie.
Yeah.
And less weird. So I was talking about this with a friend the other day, like how, like if 5 years ago, like you walked outside and saw everybody wearing masks, you'd be totally freaked out.
Right.
And now it's like so commonplace.
You get used to everything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but it's a good. I also like that like. Eyes wide shut parties it's become like a phrase.
Like what is this, a weird eyes wide shut party?
Like in that movie, what was it? That movie that just came out a couple years ago.
Oh, Camille Nanjiani.
Yeah, like there's an eyes wide shut party, and they're the only ones that take off their masks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. But that, rewatching it, that's such a scary scene because Tom Cruise thinks he's passing. He sneaks in the party. He thinks he's passing, and then one of the women is like, "You gotta get the fuck out of here." And then the butler comes up and he's like, "Oh, are you the man with the taxi? Well, your taxi driver is waiting for you just in the other room." And he goes in the other room, and they're all there just waiting for him. And he's been caught, and it's like, "Oh man, you're fucking dead." The mayor of New York is definitely here. It's scary. It's funny. It's satirical. It's got weird shit in it. It's beautiful. There's a lot of Wizard of Oz imagery, like over the rainbow. Like there's these models that try to fuck Tom Cruise, and he says, "Where are you taking me?" And they say, "Over the rainbow." And then later he goes to a costume shop called Over the Rainbow.
Oh, okay. Is that Lily Sobieski?
Yes.
Okay, I've seen pieces of it.
No, she's not that character, but she's in it as the daughter of the guy who runs the shop.
And isn't the girl?
It's very Lolita because she's like young in it.
Right. Isn't the girl from Hocus Pocus in it?
Yes, she's absolutely gorgeous in it as this sex worker, who like finds Tom Cruise, and it's all like it's so great. It's so good. Eyes Wide Shut. Check it out. It's a real uplifting
for a good time. I was gonna say what a departure this is gonna be, but I have this on my list as Meg York. So just the universe of You've Got Mail, When Harry Met Sally, that New York.
You could also say that's Ephron's
New York.
Yeah, Nora Ephron.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, we talked about it a lot on the rom-com episode.
Yeah.
That was my last one. I probably should have done that one earlier, but it's just such a warm, romantic, charming vision of New York.
Yeah. 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 I mean, with when Harry Met Sally, like the cover of like the DVD is like them in the fall in the park with like the orange leaves and stuff. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
That's a New York I want to like live in.
Sure. We all want to wear reasonable sweaters. Was it Janine who said she was really influenced by
yes, by Billy Crystal's wardrobe in that movie? A lot of sweater work.
A lot of sweaters.
Ribbed, what'd you say? A ribbed sweater with like stretchy sweatpants.
But that was
it's a look.
That was one of the first movies where I saw an adult game night in a movie, and I was like, "This is what grown-ups do? They do game night? That sounds lovely." Yeah, it's that fun. You're young but not a kid. You're a professional. You got a little bit of money.
Yeah.
It's.
Well, it's like that yuppie thing of the 80s of like...
Yeah.
Which is so funny because was that word ever used not in the pejorative?
Maybe when it first was used.
Okay, because I just think of like... And that is so... Like nobody uses that word anymore. It's now, I guess, it's sort of been replaced by hipster, I guess.
Right, because
it's a different thing though.
It's a totally different thing, but it's the same thing of like they've got a lot of money.
Right, because I just remember like we were young and we lived in Brooklyn in the 90s and... Our dad always like bemoaning yuppies taking over the city.
You fucking had to.
Oh, these fucking yuppies.
Yeah.
Those are like yuppies, like the Wall Street types.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, hipsters are totally different, but the same idea. Like they're coming to gentrify and take over.
Right. Yuppies were like doing coke and stuff. Like yuppies are like Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yeah.
And hipsters are like you're wearing jeans that make you look poor, but you spent $500 for it, and you've got a yoga mat on your back.
Your jeans are so tight I could cry.
What is that from?
I don't know where I heard it, but it's always stuck with me.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I recently went to Bear Burger, and I love Bear Burger in the city, but that's kind of a hipstery place. Have you been to Bear Burger? Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of twee. It's delicious.
You really toss out twee a lot.
It's very like paper mache bears on the fucking wall.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, it's all brick. Look, we just got rid of like the fucking wall now. Isn't that great?
You got it.
Yeah. It's almost like 10 years behind the times, but I wouldn't go if it weren't delicious.
Vegan or vegetarian?
It's neither. They have vegan and vegetarian options.
Oh, I thought it was.
But they have I think it's grass fed.
They serve bears, correct?
But yeah, it's all bear meat.
Yeah.
It's all bear
burger.
Actually, they have these Impossible Chicky Nuggies that are so good. It tastes like McDonald's. It's so good.
What's gonna happen when you find out that Impossible is human beings?
It's gonna be a rough day for everyone.
Soylent Green is people.
It's gonna be a rough day
because it's impossible for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it's not possible.
We told you.
We told you it was impossible. It was right in the name.
Yeah. So is that it? Did we do
that's it? I think we did it.
Well, I'll think of more tomorrow. Which is always the way because I'm thinking about it, so it's in my head. And it's like I don't stop thinking about it after I record, and then I'm like, oh yeah.
If you think of any others, call in. It's not a live show.
Yeah. You can message us at PCMC Pod on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. I don't really use the Twitter. PCMC is available anywhere pods are found. That's Pop Culture Man Children. You can also listen to my other show, Cuckoo Bananas, which is also available anywhere podcasts are found. That is a show about me and my co-host Kate having fun times with mental health and just living the struggle. Anthony Bongiorno, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We end the episode by saying, forget about it.
Oh, boy. I love them real bad.
Go bye-bye.